Hello everyone, my name is Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to go over a topic I've been meaning to go over for a while now, but I just kind of haven't gotten around to it, much like I just kind of haven't gotten around to many YouTube videos lately. And perhaps this could have been a more structured video, however, it just kind of has turned into a Mr. Rant at this point, so here you go. But hey, part of the reason I haven't really been getting around to the YouTube videos lately is because I've been working on other things, mainly the Twitch as well as the TheMrTrails.store. Speaking of which, we have not one, not two, not three, but 6 new designs in the TheMrTrails.store. The mugshot collection has just released, featuring the escalation bosses in a fairly detailed facial design. They are only on the t-shirts at this very minute, but they will be featured on other products very soon. Keep your eyes on the TheMrTrails.store because there will certainly be some Dauntless merch that you will love. Also, twitch.tv/TheMrTrails today. I'm thinking we're going to do like a collection of builds over there today, and then we'll just compile all of those into one YouTube video, as well as potentially getting back onto the alt account later. But what I've been wanting to talk about is the state of Terra weapons. They are absolutely bad. But more than that, I want to talk about a misconception around a particular Terra weapon being very good. So currently we have 3 Terra weapons, each of which have a unique effect. There's the Skarn weapon, which will give you up to 600 shields, but it doesn't really do anything beyond that, meaning aside from a little bit of galvanized synergy, it's basically not a unique effect at all. We have the Koshai unique effect, which will give a 50% damage bonus to the first few hits after not dealing damage for a little bit. And then we have the Kharabak unique effect, which will periodically release a set of spinning blades that will eventually explode on the behemoth. The only unique effect here that is inherently good is the Kharabak unique effect. I believe this came out at the same time as the Pangar unique effect, and for a while they were pretty comparable in terms of their damage output, meaning that once we got the Frost legendary weapons, that the Frost and Terra weapons were pretty much on the same playing field. They were similar in that they had good damage on the unique effects, but the perk summaries still did have a bit of a drawback. As good as the Kharabak unique effect is, I still can't help but feel upset when I see that Bladestorm or Deconstruction staining my build. With the Pangar weapons, this wasn't as big of an issue because many of them have Knockout King, and Knockout King isn't that bad of a thing to have on your build as a little bit extra. While doing a bit of extra stagger damage isn't a direct DPS increase, it still can help you out a little bit in the long run by getting quicker staggers. While you could technically argue the same thing for Bladestorm, the flat damage increasers for part damage, wound damage, and stagger damage, they don't hold a candle to the percent damage increasers. If I remember correctly, you need to be hitting double-digit damage numbers to have Bladestorm weighted strikes be better than Knockout King or Sharpened. But unfortunately, pretty much any competent endgame build, even on Chain Blades, will be hitting over 100 damage per hit. Honestly, it wouldn't be the end of the world for the Kharabak weapons if they just had Sharpened instead of Bladestorm or Deconstruction. However, a change like that would be very unlikely to be made, and even if it was being considered, the Sharpened cell is already on the Koshai weapons. And the Koshai weapons now, in 2022, are the worst Terra weapon unique effects. And you can go as far as to say that the Koshai weapons are the worst weapon unique effect that actually deals additional damage. The unique effect is so bad that if you wanted to wait around to get that extra 50% damage bonus on those huge hits like the Chainblade's Reaper's Dance Slam or the level 4 Grim Onslaught throws, the Koshai weapons would then genuinely perform worse than having no unique effect at all. And ever since the Tenacious cell was released, which then turned into Tenacious and Galvanized separately, the Skarn weapons have been better than the Koshai weapons ever since that cell was out. However, there would still be the hilarious notion that the Koshai weapons, specifically on Axe at least, that the Koshai weapons are still better than the Kharabak weapons. Now sure, your Axe's Grim Onslaught could potentially deal more damage with the Koshai unique effect. However, for the other 99.9% of your fighting time, the Kharabak weapons are going to be dealing more damage per second. The only reason to really use the Koshai weapons is to specifically try to get one-shots to happen. And unless you are playing an escalation and are planning on getting the Virulent Impact amp, then you shouldn't max out the Sharpened on the Koshai Axe. Because yes, while sharpened does boost your yellow damage numbers are not the actual damage you are dealing to the behemoth's health bar. When you see the white or gray damage numbers, that is the actual damage you are dealing to the behemoth's health bar. It's just that whenever you deal yellow damage, being part damage, it will hide that white or gray damage. For the veterans in the room, yes, this is very basic info, but no matter how many times you say it, it will never stop the fact that somebody will think that a yellow damage number is going to be the full damage that they are dealing to the behemoth. And even now that we have a damage meter in the training grounds to help out with this misconception a little bit. Do a little exercise with me, go into the training grounds and grab a sword. Now hit a behemoth's head with any attack on that sword, and note how much damage it does. Now you're going to want to use the same attack on the tail of the training dummy, and you will note that the yellow damage number that you see did increase. However, if you look at the damage meter, it will tell you that your core damage has not increased between those two hits. Unless you have Berserker on or something, but you should be doing this with no perk summary. You can do this with an axe as well, and you'll notice that the tail damage is going to be higher than the head damage, but it is only going to be the part damage that changes, not the core damage, because the weapon is not going to magically deal more damage against the behemoth's health based on where you hit it. While this is technically probably how it should work, because that's kind of how it does work in a real life application, that's not how the game was designed. But apply this to a behemoth fight. Say we were fighting Malkarian, for instance, and we used the sharpened ability plus the Koshai Axe unique effect, and maybe we have the Transcendent Spite amp to amplify our damage, and we hit Malkarian on the tail for about 100,000 part damage. This 100,000 part damage might only be doing around 40,000 core damage, because not only does the axe have a bonus against severable parts like tails, but we have the sharpened damage bonus. Maybe we dodge through an attack to get a plus 100% hit. But this isn't actual damage, this is part damage, and this part damage is going to be a lot higher than the actual damage we deal. The only way to convert this part damage into actual damage is through the use of the Virulent Impact amp, which good luck getting it in a shock escalation at this point, because it's a legendary amp and you are pretty much never going to get it when you want it. You have a much better chance in Terra escalation, where it is a rare amp, but you're not exactly going to want to bring a Terra weapon into the Terra escalation. But say you were to give the same situations to the Kharabak X, then you are probably still going to end up finishing the entire escalation in about the same time, if not faster. Your first round is going to be faster because there's no amps to take advantage of the extra sharpened damage, and if you don't get Virulent Impact on round 1, then your second round is likely also going to be faster with the Kharabak Axe. Even if you do get it on round 1, you aren't going to be remotely close to one-shotting still at this point, because not only is your determination level low, but you will also want Transcendent Spite and one of the Malkarian crit amps to have a chance at one-shotting things. But enough of this talk about the current Terra weapon unique effects. I want to see something better. I want to see maybe some Spore Struck Charog weapons come out, where we have some sort of poison damage unique effect. And perhaps by then we'll have some type of poison damage cell or something that would be able to be built into this unique effect, and maybe, just maybe, might actually make a good Terra weapon with a good perk summary. But yeah, Terra weapons just kind of suck right now, and I guess this was sort of just a very ADHD type TheMrRant video. But yeah, head to the Twitch today, we'll be giving away some stuff. Radiant Esca is in 1 week, and when that drops, we'll be doing a subathon over on the Twitch with a minimum of 48 hours. And of course, we'll have some new hunt passes to give away as well. But I guess that's gonna do it from me today, guys. I've been Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, and I will catch you guys next time.